My name is Ebony, and I'm about to tell you the story of how my husband drugged me, stole what he thought was a $50 million lottery ticket, and ran away with my best friend. But here's the twist he never saw coming. The ticket he stole was fake. A prank. A worthless piece of paper I bought at a magic shop for $12. Let me paint you a picture of where this story ends before I tell you how it began. It's a Tuesday afternoon in Miami. Inside the presidential suite of the Fontainebleau Hotel, my husband Derek and my former best friend Sasha are popping their third bottle of Cristal champagne. The room costs $4,000 a night. They've been there for 2 days. The floor is covered with shopping bags from Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Cartier. Derek is wearing a watch he bought that morning for $65,000. It's still in the box. He hasn't even taken the tags off. Sasha is draped across the white leather sofa in a dress that cost more than I used to make in a month working double shifts as a nurse. Her fingers are covered in rings they charged to a credit card with a $50,000 limit. A limit they've already exceeded by $30,000. But they're not worried. Because tomorrow, they think, they're going to walk into the Florida Lottery headquarters and collect $50 million. Derek picks up his phone. His hands are shaking, not from fear, but from excitement. He puts the call on speaker. The automated voice fills the room. Please enter your ticket serial number. He reads the numbers slowly, carefully, from the crumpled lottery ticket he stole from our home safe while I was unconscious from the sleeping pills he crushed into my tea. There's a pause. Then the voice says, "The serial number you have entered is invalid. This ticket is a novelty item sold for entertainment purposes only. It has no cash value. If you believe you have a legitimate winning ticket, please visit your nearest authorized retailer." The champagne glass slips from Sasha's hand. It hits the marble floor and explodes into 1,000 pieces, just like their fantasy. Derek's face goes white, then red, then a shade of purple I've never seen on a human being before. And that's when they hear the knocking on the door. Hard, official knocking, the kind that doesn't stop until you answer. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where this really began. Back to the moment when I was working 2 jobs to support a man who thought my only purpose in life was to bankroll his dreams while he sat on our couch playing video games and planning a future that never included me. I met Derek when I was 26 years old. I was working as a nurse at Miami General Hospital, doing the night shift in the emergency room. He came in one night with a dislocated shoulder from playing basketball. He was charming. He was handsome. He had this smile that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. He told me he was an entrepreneur, that he was working on launching a tech startup that was going to change everything. 6 years later, that startup still hadn't launched. But Derek's dreams had gotten bigger and more expensive. By the time I turned 32, I wasn't just working at the hospital anymore. I'd picked up a second job waiting tables at an upscale restaurant 4 nights a week. I would finish my 12-hour shift at the hospital at 7 in the morning, go home, sleep for 4 hours, then get up and work from 6 p.m. to midnight serving overpriced steaks to people who didn't bother to learn my name. I was bringing in about $8,000 a month between both jobs. After taxes, rent, car payments, groceries, and Derek's never-ending list of business expenses, I had about $300 left over. I put $200 of that into savings every month. The other $100, I spent on lottery tickets. I know what you're thinking. Lottery tickets are a waste of money, a tax on people who are bad at math, and you're probably right. But when you're working 90 hours a week and you still can't afford to take a vacation, when you're 32 years old and your biggest luxury is buying the name brand cereal instead of the generic, when you're so tired that you sometimes fall asleep at red lights, you need something to hope for. The lottery was my something. Every Wednesday and Saturday night, I would stop at the 7-Eleven on my way home from the restaurant and buy 5 tickets. Quick picks. I never chose my own numbers because I was too exhausted to think. I would get home around 12:30, and Derek would still be awake, still on the couch, controller in his hand, energy drink cans scattered around him like aluminum confetti. "How was work?" he'd ask, not looking away from the screen. "Tiring," I'd say. "You should quit that restaurant job," he'd tell me, like he did every week. "It's beneath you. Once my app launches, you won't have to work at all." His app, the one he'd been developing for 4 years, the one I'd never actually seen, the one that apparently required him to play Call of Duty for 6 hours a day to understand the gaming market. I never said anything. I would just kiss him on the forehead, take a shower, and collapse into bed. But Derek wasn't always alone when I came home. At least 3 nights a week, Sasha was there. Sasha had been my best friend since college. We met in our freshman year at Florida State. She was my roommate, my confidant, the person I called when I needed to laugh or cry or just complain about life. When I moved to Miami for my nursing job, she followed a year later. Said she couldn't imagine living in a city where I wasn't. Looking back now, I can see all the signs I missed. The way she always dressed up when she knew Derek would be home. The way she'd touch his arm when she laughed at his jokes that weren't even funny. The way she'd borrow my clothes, my jewelry, my makeup, and never give them back. The way she'd ask about our finances with a curiosity that felt intrusive, but I'd always excuse it as her being concerned about me. "Girl, you work too hard," she'd say, sprawled on my couch next to Derek, drinking the wine I'd bought. "Derek, you need to tell your wife to slow down. She's going to burn out." And Derek would nod. I keep telling her, "But you know Ebony. She's stubborn." They'd share a look I told myself was just friendly, just innocent. I was so stupid. 3 weeks before everything fell apart, something happened. It was a Thursday night, and I'd just gotten home from the hospital. I wasn't scheduled at the restaurant that night, which meant I actually had an evening off. I was so excited. I'd stopped and bought ingredients to make Derek's favorite meal, shrimp Alfredo. I was going to surprise him. Maybe we could watch a movie together. Maybe we could remember what it felt like to be a couple instead of roommates. I walked in the door, arms full of grocery bags, and found Sasha sitting on Derek's lap. Her arms were around his neck. His hands were on her waist. The bags hit the floor. They jumped apart like teenagers caught by a parent. "Ebony," Sasha gasped. "Oh my God, it's not what it looks like." "It was just a hug," Derek said, standing up so fast he nearly knocked Sasha over. She was upset. She just broke up with that guy she was seeing. I looked at Sasha. Her makeup was perfect. She wasn't crying. She didn't look upset. She looked annoyed that I'd interrupted. "Is that true?" I asked her. "Yeah," she said, smoothing her hair. "Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make it weird. I was just emotional, and Derek was being sweet, and I guess I got too close. You know I would never—" "I know," I said. But I didn't know. Not really. I wanted to know. I needed to know. So I chose to believe them. "It's fine," I said, picking up the grocery bags. "I'm just tired. I probably overreacted." "You did," Sasha said, laughing a little too loud. "You scared me. I thought you were going to go full crazy wife on us." I cooked the shrimp Alfredo. Sasha stayed for dinner. Derek barely looked at me the whole meal, and I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was just exhausted and seeing things that weren't there. That night, after Sasha left, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed next to Derek, listening to him snore, and I thought about my life, about how I was working myself to death for a man who couldn't even be bothered to look for a job, about how my best friend felt more at home in my house than I did, about how the only thing I had to look forward to was checking lottery numbers twice a week, and that's when I had an idea. A stupid, impulsive, slightly cruel idea. I'd seen these prank lottery tickets online, novelty items sold in magic shops and joke stores. They were designed to look exactly like real lottery tickets, but they were programmed so that no matter what numbers were drawn in the real lottery, the ticket would always match. You'd scratch it off, or check it, and it would show that you'd won millions. It was meant to be a harmless prank. You'd let someone think they'd won, watch their reaction, then reveal the truth and everyone would laugh. I wanted to see what Derek would do if he thought we'd won the lottery. Would he be happy? Would he hug me? Would he finally see me as more than just a paycheck? Or would he immediately start planning how to spend money we didn't have? I ordered the ticket online for $12. It arrived 3 days later. I also bought a real lottery ticket that same week, just like I did every week. I put the real one in my Bible, tucked between the pages of Psalms, the book I read when I needed comfort. The fake one, I left on the kitchen counter. My plan was simple. I would come home from work, pretend to check the lottery numbers online, and start screaming that we'd won. I'd watch Derek's reaction. Maybe he'd pick me up and spin me around. Maybe he'd cry with joy. Maybe he'd finally tell me that he appreciated everything I'd done for us. Then I'd tell him it was fake. We'd laugh. Maybe it would be the thing that brought us back together. Maybe it would remind him that we were a team. It was supposed to be innocent, a silly surprise for our anniversary, which was coming up in 2 weeks. I should have known better. It was a Saturday night. I'd just finished my shift at the restaurant. My feet were killing me. I'd been screamed at by a customer because his steak was medium instead of medium rare, even though I'd repeated his order back to him 3 times. I'd made $200 in tips, which was good, but I was so exhausted I felt like I was moving through water. I stopped at the 7-Eleven like always, bought my regular lottery tickets, went home. Derek was on the couch, alone, for once. Sasha wasn't there. "Hey, babe," he said, not looking up from his game. "There's leftover pizza in the fridge if you want it." Pizza that I'd bought 3 days ago. Pizza that he'd probably eaten most of while I was at work. "Thanks," I said. I went to the bathroom, changed out of my work clothes, washed my face, looked at myself in the mirror. I looked old, older than 32. The bags under my eyes were permanent now. My skin was dull. My hair was falling out from stress. I looked like a woman who'd given up. I made a decision. Tonight was the night. I was going to do the prank. I walked back into the living room, picked up the fake lottery ticket from the counter where I'd left it that morning, sat down at the kitchen table with my laptop. "Derek," I called out, "can you pause your game for a second?" He sighed. Actually sighed, but he paused it. "What?" "I'm just checking my lottery numbers," I said. "Can you come here?" Another sigh, but he got up, walked over to the table. I pulled up the Florida Lottery website. My hands were shaking. I was actually nervous. I read off the numbers from the fake ticket, matched them to the numbers on the screen. Of course they matched. That was how the prank worked. And then I screamed, "Oh my God, Derek, we won, we won." I waited for him to hug me, to pick me up, to smile. Instead, he grabbed the ticket out of my hand. "Let me see that," he said. He stared at it. His eyes were wide, but he wasn't looking at me. He was looking at the ticket like it was the only thing in the world that mattered. "How much?" he asked. 50 million, I said. "Derek, we," he said. He turned to look at me, and the expression on his face was one I'd never seen before. It was cold, calculating. "You mean I won?" "I bought this ticket." My stomach dropped. "What? No, you didn't. I bought it with my money from—" "With money I gave you," he said. "Money from our joint account, which means legally, this ticket belongs to both of us. But really, let's be honest, Ebony, I'm the one who picked the numbers. I'm the one who bought it. This is mine." He was lying. He knew he was lying. I could see it in his eyes, but he didn't care. "Derek," I said slowly, "you're scaring me." "Don't be scared," he said. His voice was soft now, gentle, the voice he used when he wanted something from me. "I'm just excited. This is going to change everything for us, baby. Everything. Here, let me make you some tea. Chamomile, your favorite. You look stressed." He walked to the kitchen, started boiling water, and I sat there, frozen, watching him, wondering who this man was, wondering if I'd ever really known him at all. He brought me the tea 5 minutes later, kissed me on the top of my head. "Drink this," he said. "You've had a long day, you need to rest." I took a sip. It tasted bitter, wrong. "I think I used too much honey," he said quickly. "Sorry." I took another sip. And another. Because I trusted him. Because even after everything, even after what he'd just said, I still wanted to believe that the man I married was in there somewhere. The last thing I remember is Derek taking the cup from my hand as my eyes started to close. When I woke up, it was dark. My head felt like it was full of cotton. My mouth was dry. I tried to sit up and immediately felt dizzy. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand, It was 4 in the morning. I'd been asleep for almost 6 hours. I stumbled out of the bedroom. The house was silent. Too silent. "Derek?" I called out. Nothing. I turned on the lights. The living room looked like it had been ransacked. Drawers were open. Cushions were thrown on the floor. The safe where I kept our emergency cash, the safe only Derek and I knew the combination to, was standing open and empty. $2,000. Gone. I ran to the garage. Derek's car was gone. My car was still there, but the keys were missing. I checked my phone. 37 missed calls, all from unknown numbers, 12 voicemails. I listened to the first one. It was Sasha. "Ebony, I'm so sorry. I never meant for it to happen like this. Derek and we've been seeing each other for a while now. We didn't want to hurt you. But he told me about the lottery ticket, and we realized we could finally be together. We're leaving Miami. Don't try to find us. And please, don't hate me. You were always working anyway. You barely had time for him. He needed someone who appreciated him, someone who understood him. That someone is me. I hope one day you'll forgive us. I really do. But right now, we're going to go live the life we deserve." The message ended. I stood there in my destroyed living room, phone in my shaking hand, and I started to laugh because I remembered something important. The ticket Derek stole wasn't real, but the ticket I'd hidden in my Bible, the real ticket I'd bought that same day. I walked to my bedroom, pulled my Bible off the nightstand, opened it to Psalms, and there it was, the real ticket. I picked up my laptop, went to the Florida lottery website, and I checked the numbers. 3 numbers matched, not the jackpot, not $50 million, but a secondary prize, $2 million. I had won $2 million. And Derek had just drugged me, robbed me, and run away with my best friend over a fake ticket worth $12. I sat down on the floor, and I laughed until I cried. I sat on that floor for 20 minutes, holding my real winning lottery ticket, laughing and crying at the same time. My entire body was shaking. I felt like I was losing my mind. Maybe I was. Maybe being drugged by your husband and abandoned by your best friend while simultaneously winning $2 million was the kind of thing that broke a person's brain. But then the laughter stopped, and something cold settled into my chest, something that felt like clarity. I stood up, walked to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, looked at myself in the mirror again. The woman looking back at me wasn't the exhausted, defeated person I'd seen earlier. Her eyes were different now, sharper, angrier. I grabbed my phone and called the police. The operator answered on the second ring. 911, what's your emergency? My husband drugged me and robbed me, I said. My voice was steady, calm. He stole $2,000 from our safe and my car keys. He left me unconscious in our home for 6 hours. I need to file a report. Ma'am, are you in immediate danger? No, he's gone. He left the state with his girlfriend. I'm sending officers to your location now. Are you injured? Do you need medical assistance? I thought about that. Was I injured? Physically? Probably not. The sleeping pills had worn off. But emotionally? Spiritually? I'd been gutted like a fish. No, I said. I don't need medical assistance. I just need someone to document what happened. The police arrived 40 minutes later. 2 officers, 1 male, 1 female. The female officer's name was Rodriguez. She had kind eyes. She sat with me at my kitchen table while her partner photographed the ransacked living room and the empty safe. Can you walk me through what happened? Officer Rodriguez asked, her pen poised over her notepad. I told her everything. Well, almost everything. I told her about coming home from work, about Derek making me tea, about waking up 6 hours later to find the house destroyed and my husband gone. I told her about the voicemail from Sasha confessing to the affair and the theft. What I didn't tell her was about the lottery tickets. Either of them. Not the fake one Derek stole, not the real one hidden in my Bible that was now worth $2 million. I don't know why I kept that part to myself. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was because I wanted to see how this played out before I revealed my hand. Maybe it was because some small, vindictive part of me wanted Derek to suffer as long as possible before he realized the truth. "Did your husband take anything else besides the cash?" Rodriguez asked. "Credit cards? Documents? Valuables?" "I don't think so," I said. "Just the cash from the safe. And he took his car. My car is still here. But he took the keys so I couldn't follow him. And you said his girlfriend left you a voicemail?" "Yes, my former best friend, Sasha Chen." I spelled the name for her. "She admitted to the affair and said they were leaving Miami together." Rodriguez wrote it down. "Do you know where they might have gone?" I thought about the voicemail again. Sasha hadn't mentioned a specific destination, just that they were leaving Miami, but I knew Derek. I knew how he thought. If he believed he had $50 million coming to him, where would he go? Somewhere expensive, somewhere flashy, somewhere he could show off. "No," I lied. "I have no idea." The officers stayed for another hour. They took photos. They dusted the safe for fingerprints, even though I told them Derek's prints would obviously be all over it since it was his safe too. They gave me a case number and told me they'd file a report for theft and possible assault, since drugging someone without their consent qualified as assault. "What about the car?" I asked. "He took my keys, but the car is registered in my name. Can't you track it?" Rodriguez nodded. "If you give us the make, model, and license plate, we can put out a bolo. Be on the lookout. If any officer spots the vehicle, they'll pull it over." I gave them the information. My car was a 2019 Honda Accord, silver. The license plate was memorized because I'd been the one paying the registration fees for 6 years. After the police left, I sat in the quiet of my destroyed home and thought about my next move. The smart thing to do would be to call a lawyer. Maybe call my parents, who lived in Georgia and would drive down immediately if they knew what had happened. Maybe call my sister, maybe reach out to literally anyone who could provide support. But I didn't want support. Not yet. I wanted to watch them burn. I looked at the clock. It was 5:30 in the morning. The Florida lottery office opened at 8. I had 2.5 hours to get myself together. I took a shower, put on my nicest dress, a navy blue one I'd bought for a wedding 2 years ago and had never worn again. Did my makeup carefully, styled my hair. When I looked in the mirror, I looked like someone who had won the lottery, not like someone whose life had just imploded. At 7:15, I drove to the 7-Eleven where I'd bought the winning ticket. I needed to make absolutely sure before I went to the lottery office. I needed to confirm that I wasn't hallucinating or misreading the numbers in my sleep-deprived, traumatized state. The same clerk was working, a young guy named Miguel who I'd seen 100 times. "Hey," I said, sliding the ticket across the counter. "Can you check this for me?" He scanned it. The machine made a sound, not the normal beep, a different sound, a musical chime that went on for about 5 seconds. Miguel's eyes went wide. He looked at me, looked at the machine, looked back at me. "Ma'am," he said slowly, "this is a winning ticket." "How much?" I asked, even though I already knew. He turned the screen toward me. $2 million, before taxes. After taxes, probably around $1.4 million, depending on whether I took the lump sum or the annuity. "I need you to sign the back of this ticket right now," Miguel said. "And then I need you to go directly to the lottery office. Don't show this to anyone. Don't post about it on social media. Don't tell anyone except a lawyer and a financial advisor. Do you understand?" I signed the back of the ticket with a shaking hand. "I understand." "Congratulations," Miguel said, and he actually smiled. "I've been working here for 3 years and I've never seen a winner this big. What are you going to do with the money?" I thought about Derek and Sasha, probably waking up in whatever hotel they'd checked into, planning how to spend $50 million they didn't have. I thought about the credit cards they were probably maxing out, the promises they were probably making to each other, the life they thought they were about to live. "I'm going to be smart with it," I said. At 8 a.m. sharp, I walked into the Florida Lottery headquarters in Tallahassee. I'd driven 3 hours to get there. I was exhausted. I was running on adrenaline and spite and 2 cups of gas station coffee. But I was there. The woman at the front desk looked bored until I told her why I was there. Then she sat up straighter. "You have a winning ticket?" "Yes." "May I see it, please?" I handed it over. She scanned it. Her eyes widened the same way Miguel's had. Please have a seat, Ms. She looked at the signature on the back of the ticket. Ms. Turner, someone will be with you shortly. 20 minutes later, I was sitting in a conference room with 3 people. A claims officer named Mr. Peterson, a lawyer from the Lottery Commission, and a financial advisor they provided for all major winners. Mr. Peterson verified the ticket 3 times. Each time, the computer confirmed it. $2 million. Winner. Congratulations, Ms. Turner, he said, shaking my hand. You're now a millionaire. We have some paperwork to go through, and then we need to discuss your payment options. You can take the lump sum, which after federal and state taxes will be approximately $1.4 million, or you can take the annuity, which pays out over 30 years. Lump sum, I said immediately. I needed that money now. I needed it liquid. I needed it in my account where Derek couldn't touch it. Very well. Now, we strongly recommend that you hire a lawyer and a financial advisor before you make any major decisions. I will, I said. But first, I need to ask you something. If someone tries to claim this same ticket, what happens? Mr. Peterson frowned. I'm sorry, I don't understand. You're the winner. You signed the ticket. You're here claiming it now. No one else can claim it. But what if someone has a photo of the ticket? Or what if they have a fake version of the ticket? Could they try to claim they won? The lawyer leaned forward. Miss Turner, is there someone who might try to fraudulently claim this prize? I hesitated. Then I said, my husband doesn't know I'm here. We're separated. I just want to make sure that legally, this money is mine and mine alone. Is the ticket in your name only? Yes. Did you purchase it with your own funds? Yes. Then legally, the money is yours. Your husband has no claim to it, especially if you're separated. The lawyer paused. If you're concerned about asset division in a divorce, you should speak to a family law attorney as soon as possible. Lottery winnings can be considered marital property in some cases, depending on when they were won and what state you're in. We're in Florida, I said. Florida is not a community property state. The lawyer said. If you can prove you purchased the ticket with your separate funds and you claim the prize before the divorce is finalized, you have a strong case that it's your separate property. But again, you need to speak to a family law attorney immediately. I nodded. I will. Today. The paperwork took 2 hours. By 10:30 a.m., I had a check for $1,400,000 in my purse. It was made out to Ebony Marie Turner, not to Derek, not to Mr. and Mrs. Turner, just to me. I drove back to Miami in a daze. My phone had been ringing nonstop. 15 more calls from unknown numbers, 3 voicemails, all from Sasha. I listened to them in the car. The first one. Ebony, please pick up. I know you're mad, but I need you to understand. Derek and I didn't plan this. It just happened. We fell in love. You were never around anyway. You worked all the time. He was lonely. I was lonely. And when he told me about the lottery ticket, we realized this was our chance to finally be happy. Please don't make this harder than it has to be. Just let us go. You'll find someone else. Someone who actually has time for a relationship. The second one, okay, now you're just being petty. You need to call me back. Derek is freaking out because we need to confirm some details about the ticket, and he can't remember exactly where he bought it. Do you remember? Was it the 7-Eleven on Biscayne or the Publix on Flagler? Just text me back. This is important. The third one left at 9 a.m. Ebony, this isn't funny anymore. We're at the lottery office and they're saying they need the original ticket to verify the claim. Derek has the ticket, but they're saying something is wrong with it. Call me back right now. I smiled. I actually smiled while driving 70 miles per hour down I-95. They were at the lottery office. They had the fake ticket, and they were about to learn the truth. I didn't call her back. Instead, I called a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. I called Thompson & Associates, the most expensive divorce law firm in Miami. The kind of firm that charged $1,000 an hour and had a reputation for destroying husbands in court. I got an appointment for 2 p.m. that same day. Then I called a locksmith and had them meet me at my house. By noon, Every lock in the house had been changed. Derek's key would no longer work. If he came back, he'd find himself locked out of the home that I paid for with my money. Then I went to the bank. I closed our joint account and opened a new one in my name only. I deposited the lottery check, $1.4 million. It would take a few days to clear, but once it did, I would be set for life. The bank manager, a woman named Patricia, who I'd been working with for years, looked at the check and then looked at me. "Ebony," she said quietly, "is everything all right?" "Everything is perfect," I said. "I just need to make sure this account is secure. I'm going through a divorce and I need to protect my assets." Patricia nodded. She didn't ask questions. She just set up the account with every security feature available. Two-factor authentication. Alerts for any transaction over $100. A freeze on any wire transfers without in-person verification. "He won't be able to touch this," Patricia assured me. "And this money is yours and yours alone." At 2 p.m., I sat in the office of Margaret Thompson, senior partner at Thompson & Associates. Her office overlooked Biscayne Bay. The furniture was leather and chrome. Everything about the place screamed expensive. Margaret herself was in her 50s, with steel gray hair cut into a sharp bob and eyes that looked like they could see through walls. I told her everything: the affair, the drugging, the theft, the fake lottery ticket Derek stole, the real lottery ticket I'd won. When I finished, Margaret sat back in her chair and smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of a shark that had just spotted blood in the water. "Miss Turner," she said, "this is going to be the easiest divorce I've handled all year. Your husband drugged you, robbed you, and abandoned you for another woman. We have voicemail evidence of the affair. We have police reports of the theft and assault. And we have a lottery winning that you can prove you purchased with your separate funds before the marriage dissolved. He's not getting a penny." "How long will it take?" I asked. "In Florida, if both parties agree, we can have a divorce finalized in as little as 30 days. But your husband isn't going to agree to anything that doesn't benefit him. This will probably take 6 months. Maybe a year if he fights it." "Let him fight," I said. "I have the money to hire you for as long as it takes." "That you do," Margaret agreed. "Now, let's talk about protective orders. I want to file for an emergency restraining order based on the drugging and theft. That will prevent him from coming near you or contacting you. We'll also file for exclusive use of the marital home, since you're the one who's been paying the mortgage." "Whatever you think is best," I said. Margaret pulled out a legal pad and started writing. "I'm also going to recommend that you don't tell anyone about the lottery winning except your immediate family. Not friends, not coworkers, no one. The more people who know, the more complicated this becomes. Your husband will eventually find out that you won, but by the time he does, it will be too late for him to make a claim." "He already thinks he won," I said. "He has no idea the ticket he stole was fake." Margaret looked up from her notes. "I'm sorry." "What?" I explained about the prank ticket, about how I'd left it on the counter as a joke, about how Derek had stolen it thinking it was real. Margaret's smile grew wider. "So right now, your husband and his mistress think they're millionaires." 50 millionaires, I corrected. The fake ticket showed a $50 million jackpot. Margaret laughed, actually laughed. "Oh, Ms. Turner, I've been practicing law for 28 years and I have never, ever heard a story like this. Do you know what this means? That they're idiots? That they're in debt. If they think they have $50 million coming, what do you think they're doing right now?" I thought about Sasha's voicemails, about the hotel, about the shopping bags I'd seen in Derek's Instagram posts that morning. He'd posted a photo of himself in a Rolex store with the caption, "Treating myself to an early birthday present." "They're spending money they don't have," I said slowly. "Exactly. And when they find out the ticket is fake, they're going to be in serious financial trouble. Credit card debt. Maybe loans from shady lenders, all of which will be your husband's responsibility, not yours, because you're filing for divorce and you have proof he abandoned you." Margaret leaned forward. "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to let them dig themselves into the deepest hole possible. We're not going to contact them. We're not going to warn them. We're just going to wait. And when they finally realize the truth, when they're drowning in debt and legal trouble, That's when we'll file the divorce papers. That's when we'll present the police report. That's when we'll reveal that you're the one who actually won the lottery. Do you understand what I'm saying? You want them to destroy themselves? I said. I want them to face the natural consequences of their actions, Margaret corrected. Your husband drugged you and robbed you. His mistress helped him. They deserve whatever happens next. We're just going to make sure you're protected while they implode. I sat there in that expensive office, looking out at the bay, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Power. Let's do it, I said. The next 72 hours were the most surreal of my life. While I was meeting with lawyers, changing locks, and securing my actual $2 million, Derek and Sasha were living in a fantasy world that was about to come crashing down around them. I know this because Sasha couldn't help herself. She kept posting on social media. The first post appeared on Tuesday morning, the day after they'd left Miami. It was a photo of her and Derek in what looked like a luxury hotel suite. The caption read, "Sometimes life surprises you in the most beautiful ways. New beginnings, new dreams, new life. Blessed, living, my best life." The comments were predictable. Her friends congratulating her, asking where she was, asking who the guy was. She responded to some of them, "Just taking some time for myself. Needed to get away and clear my head." No mention of me. No mention of the fact that the guy in the photo was her best friend's husband. The second post came Tuesday afternoon. A photo of shopping bags, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Hermes. The caption, "Treat yourself, you deserve it." I sat in my living room, staring at that photo, and I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Those bags represented thousands of dollars, maybe tens of thousands, money they didn't have, or did they? I pulled up Derek's Instagram. He'd made his account public, probably so he could show off to as many people as possible. His latest post was from that same afternoon. A video of him in a jewelry store, trying on watches, Rolexes, Patek Philippe's, the kind of watches that cost more than a car. In the video, he was talking to the sales associate, a young woman who looked appropriately impressed. "I'll take this one," Derek said, pointing to a rose gold Rolex. "And that one. Actually, you know what? Show me your 3 most expensive pieces." The sales associate's eyes went wide. "Sir, our most expensive pieces start at $80,000. "Perfect," Derek said, grinning at the camera. "It's time I started looking like the success I am." The video ended. The caption read, "They used to doubt me. Now they can't touch me. Success looks good on me." I called Margaret Thompson immediately. "He's spending," I said when she answered. "He's buying watches, luxury goods. He thinks he has $50 million and he's acting like it." "Good," Margaret said. There was satisfaction in her voice. "Let him. The more he spends, the worse it's going to be when reality hits. Are you checking the joint credit cards?" "We closed the joint account this morning, remember? He can't access my money anymore." "Right. But does he have credit cards in his own name?" I thought about it. Derek had 3 credit cards. One was a joint card with both our names on it, which I'd already canceled. But he had 2 others that he'd opened before we got married. One with a $5,000 limit. One with a $10,000 limit. "He has 2 cards," I said. $15,000 total credit. "That's not enough for Rolex watches," Margaret pointed out, which means he's either getting loans or he's convinced the stores to let him charge now and pay later based on his supposed lottery winning. My stomach turned. Can he do that? He can try. Most reputable jewelers won't extend that kind of credit without verification. But there are always places desperate enough for a sale that they'll take risks. Or he could be going to loan sharks. People who lend money at predatory interest rates. What happens when he can't pay them back? That depends on who he borrowed from. If it's legitimate credit cards in stores, they'll send it to collections and eventually sue him. If it's loan sharks, Margaret paused. Let's just say those people have their own ways of collecting debts. I thought about Derek, my husband, the man I'd loved, the man I'd worked myself to exhaustion to support. And I felt nothing, no sympathy, no regret, just a cold, clinical curiosity about how far he would fall. "Keep monitoring his social media," Margaret advised. "Document everything. Every purchase, every post, every expense. It's all going to be useful when we get to court. So I watched, and what I saw was fascinating in the most horrifying way. Wednesday morning, Sasha posted a photo from a spa. She was getting a massage, champagne in a glass beside her. Self-care isn't selfish, it's necessary. Wednesday afternoon, Derek posted from a car dealership. He was sitting in a Mercedes S-Class. Test driving my future. What do you think? Should I go with the black or the silver? Wednesday evening, they both posted photos from a 5-star restaurant, lobster, caviar, a bottle of wine that probably cost more than I made in a week at the hospital. Thursday morning, Sasha posted a photo of herself in a designer dress. When you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you do good. The comments on her posts were getting interesting. Some of her friends were supportive, but others were starting to ask questions. Girl, where did you get the money for all this? One comment read, Sasha's response, let's just say I made some good investments. Another comment, aren't you supposed to be at work? Did you quit your job? Sasha had been working as a receptionist at a dental office. She made maybe $30,000 a year, barely enough to cover her rent and car payment. Her response, I'm between opportunities right now, taking time to explore what I really want to do with my life. Thursday afternoon brought the post that made me actually laugh out loud. Derek had gone to a realtor. He posted a photo of himself in front of a mansion in Coral Gables. The kind of house that costs $10 million minimum, shopping for my dream home, 8 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms, infinity pool, private dock, just the essentials. A comment from one of his friends, bro, did you hit the lottery or something? Derek's response, something like that. Can't say too much yet, legal stuff. But let's just say I won't be worrying about money anymore. I screenshot every single post, every comment, every piece of evidence that showed Derek and Sasha living a lie. Friday was when things started to get really interesting. I was at work, doing a 12-hour shift at the hospital, when my phone buzzed. It was a text from a number I didn't recognize. Ebony, this is Derek's mother. I need to talk to you. Please call me. I hadn't spoken to Derek's mother, Patricia, in months. She lived in Atlanta, and we'd never been particularly close. She thought her son could do no wrong, and she'd made it clear she thought I worked too much and didn't appreciate him enough. I almost didn't call her back, but curiosity got the better of me. She answered on the first ring. Ebony, thank God. I need you to tell me what's going on with Derek. I don't know what you mean, I said carefully. He called me yesterday, said he won the lottery, said he won $50 million. He wanted me to fly to Miami so he could buy me a house. Ebony, is this true? I closed my eyes. Of course Derek had called his mother. Of course he was already making promises with money he didn't have. Mrs. Patterson, I said slowly. When was the last time you spoke to Derek before yesterday? About a month ago. Why? Did he mention anything about our marriage? About any problems we were having? There was a long pause. No. Are you two having problems? Mrs. Patterson, Derek left me on Saturday night. He drugged me, stole $2,000 from our safe, and ran off with my best friend. I've filed a police report. I'm filing for divorce. Silence, then, that's impossible. Derek would never. He did. And the lottery ticket he thinks he won with? It's fake. It's a prank ticket from a magic shop. He stole it from our house thinking it was real, but it's worthless. More silence. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line. Are you telling me, she said slowly, that my son is going around telling people he's a millionaire, and it's all based on a fake lottery ticket? Yes. Oh my God, her voice cracked. Oh my God, Ebony, what has he done? I don't know, I said honestly. But based on his social media, he's spending a lot of money he doesn't have. I need to call him. I need to tell him. Don't, I said quickly. Mrs. Patterson, please, don't call him. Don't tell him anything. Let him figure it out on his own. But he's my son. If he's making a mistake, I need to help him. He drugged me, I said. and my voice was hard. He put sleeping pills in my tea, waited for me to pass out, and then he robbed me and abandoned me for another woman. Your son did that to me. After 6 years of marriage. After I worked 2 jobs to support him while he sat on the couch playing video games. I'm sorry, Mrs. Patterson, but I don't think he deserves a warning. She was crying now. I didn't raise him to be like this. I know you didn't. But this is who he chose to be. And he needs to face the consequences. After I hung up, I felt a pang of guilt. Patricia Patterson wasn't a bad person. She was just a mother who loved her son. But that guilt faded quickly when I checked Instagram again and saw Derek's latest post. He was at a yacht broker, looking at boats, thinking about buying a little weekend toy. 40-footer should do it. Anyone know a good captain? A 40-foot yacht would cost at least $500,000, probably closer to $1 million for anything decent. I called Margaret again. He's looking at yachts now. Margaret sighed. Of course he is. How much has he spent so far, do you think? I did quick mental math based on what I'd seen in the posts. The watches were probably at least $100,000 if he actually bought them. The clothes and accessories, maybe another $50,000. The hotel suite they're staying in looks like it costs at least $1,000 a night. They've been there for 5 days. That's $5,000, plus meals, spa treatments, all the other little luxuries. I'd say they've spent or committed to spending at least $200,000 on credit cards with a $15,000 limit, Margaret said. He must have gotten loans or convinced stores to extend him credit based on the supposed lottery winning. Which means when this collapses, he's not just going to be broke, he's going to be in debt. Serious debt. Possibly to some very dangerous people. Good, I said, and I meant it. That weekend was when everything started to unravel for them. Saturday morning, Sasha posted a photo that was different from the others. She was alone in the hotel room. Her makeup was smudged. She looked like she'd been crying. The caption, "Sometimes the people you love the most are the ones who hurt you the worst." No emojis, no hashtags, just that one sentence. The comments flooded in immediately. Are you okay? What happened? Do you need me to come get you? She didn't respond to any of them. 2 hours later, Derek posted a video. He was in what looked like an office at the lottery headquarters. He was arguing with someone off camera. I'm telling you, this is a legitimate ticket. I won. Check your system again. A calm male voice responded. Sir, I've checked the system 3 times. The serial number on this ticket doesn't exist in our database. This is a novelty item. It's not a real lottery ticket. That's impossible. It has to be real. It matched all the numbers. That's because it's designed to match any numbers. It's sold as a prank item. If you look closely at the fine print on the back, it says, for entertainment purposes only. No cash value. The video cut off abruptly. Derek deleted it 10 minutes later, but I'd already saved it. Then came the flood. Over the next few hours, Derek deleted every single post he'd made since leaving Miami. The watches, the cars, the yacht, the mansion, all of it gone. But the internet never forgets. People had already screenshot his posts. They were sharing them, commenting on them, laughing at them. This guy really thought he won the lottery and went on a spending spree. Imagine being this dumb. Someone needs to check on this man's credit score. Sunday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls. All from Derek. I didn't answer. Instead, I listened to the voicemails. The first one. Ebony, please pick up. I need to talk to you. There's been a mistake with the ticket. I need you to help me figure this out. The second one. Ebony, this isn't funny. If you did something to the ticket, you need to tell me right now. This is serious. The third one. I know you're there. I know you can hear this. You did this on purpose, didn't you? You set me up. You wanted me to look like a fool. The fourth one. His voice was shaking. Ebony, I'm in trouble. Real trouble. I need money. I need $50,000 by tomorrow or, please. Please call me back. I'm begging you. The remaining voicemails were variations of the same theme. Panic, desperation, threats, begging. I deleted all of them. Then I got a voicemail from Sasha. Ebony. Her voice was hoarse, like she'd been screaming. I know you hate me. I know you have every right to hate me, but I need you to understand what's happening. Derek, he's not who I thought he was. He lied to me. He told me the ticket was real. He showed me the numbers. He convinced me to quit my job, to leave everything behind. And now I have nothing. No job, no money, no place to live. The hotel is kicking us out because we can't pay the bill. We owe them $30,000. Derek took out loans from some really bad people. They're calling him. They're threatening him. Us. Ebony, I'm scared. I know I don't deserve your help, but please, if you know anything about what happened to the lottery ticket, please tell me, because I think Derek is about to do something really stupid. I listened to that message 3 times, and then I saved it and went back to watching Netflix. Monday morning, Margaret called me. They're at the lottery office again, she said. My contact there just informed me. They're demanding to speak to a supervisor. They're claiming there's been a mix-up with the ticket verification. There's no mix-up, I said. The ticket is fake. They just don't want to accept it. I know, but here's the interesting part. The lottery office has referred the matter to their fraud investigation department. Because Derek has been going around town claiming he won $50 million and using that claim to obtain credit and loans. That's fraud. Potentially criminal fraud. My heart skipped a beat. He could be arrested. If the stores and lenders press charges, absolutely, and they will, once they realize they're never getting their money back. When will that happen? Soon, maybe as early as this week. The hotel has already filed a complaint because they can't pay their bill. That's theft of services. And I have it on good authority that at least 2 jewelry stores are preparing to file charges for fraud. I sat down. My legs felt weak. He's going to jail. Probably, for a little while at least. And Sasha might be charged as an accessory, depending on whether the prosecution believes she knew the ticket was fake. She didn't know, I said. She's stupid, but she's not a criminal. She really thought Derek had won. Then she'll probably avoid jail time. But her life is still ruined. No job, no money, a criminal investigation on her record. Every future employer will see that. I thought about Sasha, my former best friend, the woman who'd betrayed me. And I tried to feel sympathy for her. I couldn't. Tuesday afternoon, I was leaving work when I saw them. Derek and Sasha were sitting on the bench outside the hospital. They looked like completely different people from the ones in the Instagram photos. Derek's clothes were wrinkled. He hadn't shaved. His eyes were red and swollen. Sasha looked even worse. Her hair was greasy. Her designer dress was stained. She was crying. They saw me at the same time I saw them. Derek stood up. Ebony, thank God. We need to talk. I kept walking toward my car. Ebony, please. He ran after me. Please, just give me 5 minutes. I need to explain. I turned around. Explain what, Derek? Explain how you drugged me. Explain how you robbed me. Explain how you abandoned me for her. I pointed at Sasha, who was still on the bench, sobbing. I made a mistake, Derek said. His voice was desperate. I was confused. I thought the ticket was real. I thought we could have a better life. I thought you could steal my lottery ticket and run away with my best friend, I said flatly. And you were wrong. The ticket was fake. You stole a piece of paper worth $12 and destroyed your entire life over it. His face crumpled. You knew it was fake and you let me take it. I left it on the counter as a joke, I said. An anniversary surprise. I was going to tell you it was fake after I watched you react to thinking we'd won. I wanted to see if you'd be happy for us, or if you'd be greedy, and you showed me exactly who you are. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. Ebony, please, I need help. I owe people money. Dangerous people. They're going to hurt me if I don't pay them back. That sounds like a you problem. I'll do anything. I'll go to therapy. I'll get a job. I'll spend the rest of my life making this up to you. Just please help me. I need $50,000. Just 50,000 and I can get these people off my back and we can figure everything else out. I looked at him. Really looked at him. This man who I'd loved, who I'd married, who I'd sacrificed everything for, and I felt nothing. No, I said. Ebony. I said, no, Derek. You made your choices. You drugged me. You robbed me. You left me unconscious and alone. You chose this, and now you get to live with the consequences. But I could die, he shouted. These people are serious. They're going to kill me. Then I suggest you go to the police, I said. Tell them what you did. Maybe they can protect you. I got in my car and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I could see Derek on his knees in the parking lot, screaming my name. Sasha was still on the bench, her face in her hands, and I felt nothing. Wednesday morning started like any other day. I woke up at 5 a.m., made coffee, got ready for my shift at the hospital. The difference was that for the first time in 6 years, I didn't feel the crushing weight of exhaustion. I had money in the bank, real money, enough to quit one of my jobs, enough to breathe, but I wasn't ready to quit yet. I wanted to see this through to the end. At 7:30, Margaret called. It's happening today, she said. There was an edge of excitement in her voice. The Miami-Dade Police Department is issuing arrest warrants for Derek. Multiple counts of fraud, theft of services, and obtaining property under false pretenses. They're picking him up this morning. My hand tightened around my coffee cup. Where? The hotel. He and Sasha are still there. They've been trying to negotiate with the management, but the hotel called the police last night. Apparently, Derek threatened the manager when they tried to evict them. When are they arresting him? Within the hour. I thought you might want to know. I looked at the clock. 8 a.m. I was supposed to be at the hospital by 8:30. Can you get me into the lottery office? I asked. I want to be there when they realize the truth. The full truth. Margaret paused. You want to confront them? No, I want to watch them confront themselves. There was a long silence. Then Margaret said, I'll make some calls. Meet me at the lottery headquarters in Tallahassee at 10 a.m. And Ebony, bring the real winning ticket. Let's make this official. I called in sick to work. First time in 3 years. Then I drove 3 hours to Tallahassee. My real lottery ticket in my purse, my heart pounding with something that felt almost like joy. Margaret was waiting for me in the parking lot, along with her assistant and someone I didn't recognize, a thin man in his 50s wearing an expensive suit. Ebony, this is Richard Morrison, Margaret said. He's the director of the Florida Lottery's Fraud Investigation Division. I've briefed him on your situation. Morrison shook my hand. His grip was firm, professional. Ms. Turner, I understand you're the actual winner of a $2 million prize, and that your estranged husband has been fraudulently claiming to have won a $50 million jackpot. That's correct. And you have the legitimate winning ticket with you? I pulled it from my purse. He examined it carefully, then nodded. This is valid. I verified the serial number before you arrived. Ms. Turner, you claimed this prize last week, correct? Yes, I have the documentation. Good. Now, I need to explain what's about to happen. Your husband and his companion have been calling our office repeatedly for the past 5 days, demanding that we honor what they claim is a winning ticket. We've explained multiple times that the ticket is a novelty item with no cash value, but they've become increasingly aggressive. Yesterday, your husband threatened legal action against the Lottery Commission. He also attempted to use the supposed winnings as collateral for a loan with a private lending company, which is potentially criminal fraud. Is that why you're pressing charges? That's part of it. We're also pressing charges because he's damaged the lottery's reputation. There are news articles circulating about a supposed lottery winner who's being denied his prize. It's creating public distrust in the system. We need to make it clear, publicly, that this was a fraud attempt, not a legitimate claim. Margaret leaned forward. Which is why we're here. Ebony is going to claim her legitimate prize, in public, at the same time that Derek is confronted with his fraud. We're going to make it crystal clear that there was a real winner, and it wasn't him. Morrison smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. The press conference is scheduled for 11 a.m. Your husband and Ms. Chen have been invited to attend. They think they're finally going to receive their prize. Instead, they're going to be arrested on live television. My stomach flipped. Live television? We've invited every major news outlet in Florida. This is going to be a cautionary tale about lottery scams and fraud. Your husband is going to be the example. Part of me felt sick, but a larger part, the part that remembered waking up drugged and alone, that remembered 6 years of working myself to death while Derek played video games, that remembered Sasha's hand on my husband's chest. That part felt nothing but cold satisfaction. "I'm in," I said. At 10:30, we assembled in a large conference room at the lottery headquarters. There were cameras everywhere. Reporters, photographers. Morrison had arranged it like a press conference, with a podium at the front and rows of chairs for the media. I was backstage, hidden behind a curtain, watching through a gap. At 10:45, Derek and Sasha arrived. They looked terrible. Derek was wearing the same wrinkled clothes I'd seen him in at the hospital. His eyes were wild, desperate. Sasha was worse. She'd lost weight. Her skin was gray. Her hands were shaking. A lottery official greeted them at the door. "Mr. Patterson, Ms. Chen, thank you for coming. Please have a seat in the front row." Derek looked around at all the cameras. "What is all this? I thought this was going to be a private meeting." "Change of plans," the official said smoothly. "The Lottery Commission has decided to make a public statement about your case. You'll want to be here for this." I could see the confusion on Derek's face, but he sat down. Sasha sat beside him, her head down, her hands clenched in her lap. At 11 a.m. exactly, Richard Morrison stepped up to the podium. "Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Richard Morrison, Director of Fraud Investigations for the Florida Lottery Commission. I've called this press conference to address a situation that has gained significant attention over the past week." He paused, looking directly at Derek. 10 days ago, a man came to our office claiming to have won a $50 million jackpot. He presented what appeared to be a lottery ticket and demanded immediate payment. However, upon examination, we determined that the ticket in question was not a legitimate lottery ticket at all. It was a novelty item, a prank ticket sold in magic shops and joke stores for entertainment purposes only. Murmurs from the reporters, cameras turning toward Derek. Derek stood up. "That's a lie. That ticket is real. I won. Mr. Patterson, please sit down," Morrison said calmly. "We have security here, and I'd hate for this to become more unpleasant than necessary." 2 security guards stepped forward. Derek sat down slowly, his face red. Morrison continued. Despite being informed multiple times that his ticket was fraudulent, Mr. Patterson continued to claim he was a lottery winner. He used this false claim to obtain credit from multiple businesses. He accrued debts exceeding $300,000 based on the promise of lottery winnings that did not exist. This is fraud. Criminal fraud. Sasha made a small sound, like a wounded animal. "Furthermore," Morrison said, "Mr. Patterson's fraud has damaged the reputation of the Florida Lottery and created public confusion about our verification processes. Therefore, the Lottery Commission is pressing full criminal charges against Mr. Patterson for fraud, obtaining property under false pretenses, and theft of services." Derek was on his feet again. "You can't do this. I have rights. I'll sue. You'll be arrested," Morrison said flatly. "In fact, there are officers waiting outside this room right now. But before we get to that, I have one more announcement to make." He looked toward the curtain where I was hiding. While Mr. Patterson was running around Miami claiming to be a millionaire, someone else actually won the lottery. A real lottery. With a real ticket. "Miss Ebony Turner, would you please join me?" My cue. I stepped out from behind the curtain. The flash of cameras was blinding. But I kept my eyes on Derek. His face went through a series of expressions in rapid succession. Confusion, recognition, horror, and finally, understanding. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no." Morrison gestured for me to join him at the podium. "Ms. Turner is the legitimate winner of a $2 million Florida lottery prize, which she claimed last week. The winning ticket was purchased with her own funds, signed in her name only, and has been verified and paid out according to all proper procedures." I stood at the podium, looking out at the sea of cameras, and then I looked down at Derek. "You stole the wrong ticket," I said softly. but the microphone picked it up. My voice echoed through the room. Derek's mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. Sasha was crying, her hands over her face. "Ms. Turner," a reporter called out. "Can you explain what happened? How did your husband end up with a fake ticket?" I looked at Margaret. She nodded. "My husband and I were having marital difficulties," I said carefully. "I had purchased a novelty lottery ticket, a prank item, for our anniversary. I thought it would be funny to see his reaction if he thought we'd won. But before I could reveal the joke, he drugged me, stole the fake ticket from our home, emptied our safe, and left me unconscious while he ran away with my best friend." Gasps from the reporters. Cameras swiveling back to Derek. He didn't know that I had also purchased a real lottery ticket that same week. A ticket that I'd hidden separately. A ticket that actually won. While he was spending money he didn't have, living in luxury hotels and buying watches and cars based on fake winnings, I was here, quietly claiming my legitimate prize. "Ms. Hoy Turner, how do you feel about your husband's arrest?" I looked at Derek one more time. He was staring at me with an expression of absolute devastation. Behind him, Sasha was being sick into a trash can. "I feel like justice is being served," I said. Morrison stepped forward. "That's all the time we have for questions. Officers, please." The back doors opened. 4 Miami-Dade police officers entered the room. "Derek Patterson, you're under arrest for fraud, obtaining property under false pretenses, and theft of services. You have the right to remain silent." Derek didn't resist. He just stood there as they put the handcuffs on him, his eyes locked on mine. "Ebony," he said. His voice broke. "Please, please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Don't let them do this, please." I said nothing. One of the reporters pushed forward. "Ms. Turner, will you press charges for the drugging and theft?" "I already have," I said. "There's an existing police report. My lawyer is handling it." "What about your best friend? Is she being charged as well?" I looked at Sasha. She was on her knees now, sobbing uncontrollably. Security was trying to help her up. "That's for the police to decide," I said. "But I believe she was a victim of my husband's manipulation, just like I was. The difference is that she chose to believe his lies. I chose to verify the truth." They led Derek out of the room in handcuffs. The cameras followed him every step of the way. He didn't look back at me. He just kept his head down, shoulders slumped, the picture of complete defeat. Sasha was escorted out separately. No handcuffs for her yet, but 2 officers flanked her, and I heard one of them say, "Ma'am, we need you to come to the station to answer some questions." When they were gone, Morrison turned to me. "Ms. Turner, you handled that beautifully. The Lottery Commission is grateful for your cooperation. This sends a clear message that fraud will not be tolerated." "I didn't do it for the Lottery Commission," I said. "I did it for me." Margaret put a hand on my shoulder. "Let's get you out of here. The reporters are going to want more interviews, but we can handle that later." As we walked out of the building, I could hear the reporters behind us, already writing their stories. Local woman wins, 2 million while husband arrested for lottery fraud. Best friend betrayal turns into lottery nightmare. Drugged wife gets last laugh when cheating husband steals fake ticket. I got into Margaret's car and we drove away from the chaos. "How do you feel?" Margaret asked. I thought about it. How did I feel? "Free," I said finally. "For the first time in 6 years, I feel free." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I opened it. It was from Derek's mother. I saw the news. "I'm so sorry, Ebony. I'm so sorry. You deserved better than my son. I hope you find happiness." I stared at that message for a long time. Then I deleted it. I didn't need her apology. I didn't need anyone's pity. I had $2 million, a good lawyer, and a future that was finally mine. That was enough. 6 months later, I was standing on the deck of a cruise ship in the Mediterranean, watching the sun set over the coast of Greece. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink and gold. The water was impossibly blue, and for the first time in my entire adult life, I had nowhere to be and nothing to prove. I'd quit both my jobs 3 weeks after Derek's arrest. The hospital threw me a going-away party. My coworkers gave me a card signed by everyone in the ER. "You deserve this," the head nurse had written. "Go live your life." The restaurant didn't even get a notice. I just stopped showing up. I didn't owe them anything. I'd bought a small house in Coral Gables. Nothing extravagant, 3 bedrooms, a backyard with orange trees, a porch where I could drink my coffee in the morning. It cost $300,000. I paid cash. The feeling of signing those papers, of owning something that was completely mine, was better than any lottery win. The divorce had been finalized 4 months ago. Derek hadn't contested it. He couldn't. He was in jail, serving 18 months for fraud and theft. His lawyer had tried to argue that he'd been a victim too, that he'd genuinely believed the ticket was real. But the prosecution had presented evidence of the voicemail he'd left me, the one where he'd threatened me if I didn't help him. They'd presented the police report about the drugging. They'd presented Sasha's testimony. Sasha hadn't been charged. The prosecution had determined that she was, as I'd suspected, more of a victim than an accomplice. She'd lost her job, her apartment, and most of her friends. The last I'd heard, she'd moved back to her parents' house in Orlando and was working at a grocery store. I felt nothing about that. Not satisfaction, not pity, just nothing. Derek's mother had tried to contact me twice more, once to ask if I would visit Derek in jail, once to ask if I would help pay his legal fees. I'd blocked her number after the second call. I didn't owe them anything either. The divorce settlement had been exactly what Margaret had promised. Derek got nothing. Not a penny of the lottery money. Not a share of the house I'd bought. Not even any of the furniture from our old apartment, which I'd donated to Goodwill the day the divorce was finalized. The judge had ruled that the lottery winnings were my separate property, purchased with my separate funds before the marriage had legally dissolved. Derek's lawyer had tried to argue that we were still married when I'd won, but Margaret had destroyed that argument by presenting evidence that Derek had abandoned the marriage days before I'd claimed the prize. "Your client drugged his wife, robbed her, and fled the state with his mistress," Margaret had said in court, her voice cold and clear. "He dissolved this marriage through his actions. Ms. Turner simply made it official." The judge had agreed. I'd walked out of that courtroom with everything, and Derek had walked into a cell with nothing. Now, standing on this cruise ship, I thought about the woman I'd been 6 months ago. The woman who'd worked 90 hours a week. The woman who'd fallen asleep at red lights. The woman who'd convinced herself that love meant sacrifice, that marriage meant carrying someone else's weight until your back broke. That woman was gone. I'd enrolled in an online course for nursing administration. I wanted to go back to healthcare eventually, but on my own terms. As a manager, maybe, or a consultant. Something where I could use my experience but also have a life outside of work. I'd reconnected with my sister, who I hadn't seen in 2 years because I'd been too busy working. She'd flown down to Miami and we'd spent a week together, just talking, just being sisters again. I'd made new friends. Real friends. Women who didn't secretly want what I had. Women who celebrated my success instead of envying it. I'd learned to paint. Badly, but I didn't care. I'd taken a cooking class and discovered I actually enjoyed it when I wasn't exhausted. I'd started going to the gym, not to punish my body, but because it felt good to be strong. I'd learned what it meant to live for myself. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, expecting a message from my sister or one of my new friends. Instead, it was an email notification from the Miami-Dade County Jail. "You have received a message from inmate number 847-392. Click here to view." I stared at that notification for a long moment. Then I deleted it without reading it. I didn't need to know what Derek had to say. There was nothing he could tell me that would matter. No apology that would change anything. No explanation that would make sense of what he'd done. He'd made his choices, and now he was living with them, just like I was living with mine. The difference was that my choices had set me free. A voice behind me said, "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" I turned. A man was standing there, maybe 40 years old, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. He was holding a book and a glass of wine. "No," I said. "Go ahead." He sat down, leaving a respectful distance between us. We watched the sunset in silence for a few minutes. Then he said, "First time on a cruise?" "Yes, you." "Third, I'm a bit addicted. There's something about being out on the ocean that makes everything else seem small, you know?" I did know. That was exactly why I'd booked this trip. "I'm Michael," he said, extending his hand. "Ebony," I said, shaking it. "Beautiful name. Are you traveling alone?" "Yes, you." "Same. My wife passed away 2 years ago. Cancer. I've been traveling ever since, trying to figure out what comes next." "I'm sorry," I said. "Thank you. It's getting easier." He paused. "What's your story, if you don't mind me asking?" I thought about how to answer that. 6 months ago, I would have said I didn't have a story. I was just a nurse who worked too hard and hoped for too little. But now, I'm a lottery winner, I said, and a divorce survivor, and someone who's learning how to be happy. Michael smiled. "That's a good story." "It's getting better," I said. We talked until the sun disappeared completely and the stars came out. About travel and loss and hope and second chances. About the lives we'd lived and the lives we wanted to live. When he asked if I'd like to have dinner with him the next night, I said yes. Not because I was looking for a relationship. Not because I needed someone to complete me or save me or validate me. But because I wanted to. Because it sounded nice. Because I could. Because I was free to make choices based on what I wanted, not what I needed to survive. That night, back in my cabin, I stood in front of the mirror and looked at myself. Really looked. I was 32 years old. I had $1 million in the bank. I had a house with orange trees. I had a future that was mine to write. I looked happy. I looked free. I thought about Derek, in his cell, counting down the days until his release, knowing that when he got out, he'd have nothing. No money, no wife, no friends, just debts and regrets and the knowledge that he'd thrown away everything for a piece of paper worth $12. I thought about Sasha, scanning groceries in Orlando, looking over her shoulder every time someone recognized her from the news coverage, living with the knowledge that she'd betrayed her best friend for a man who'd lied to her about everything. And I thought about myself, 6 months ago, waking up drugged and alone in a ransacked house. That woman had believed she had nothing. That woman had been wrong. She'd had everything. She just hadn't known it yet. I picked up my journal, a new habit I'd started, and I wrote, "Dear past self, I know you're scared right now. I know you think your life is over. I know you're looking at that empty safe and that destroyed living room and you're wondering how you're going to survive this. But here's what I need you to know. You're going to be fine. Better than fine. You're going to be happy. The man who drugged you and left you, he's going to lose everything. And you're going to win everything. Not just money, not just freedom, but yourself. You're going to remember who you were before you met him. The smartest, strong, capable woman who became a nurse because she wanted to help people. The woman who worked 2 jobs not because she was weak, but because she was determined. The woman who bought lottery tickets not because she was foolish, but because she refused to give up hope. That woman is still in there. And she's about to get her life back. So hold on, just a little longer, because the best part of your story is about to begin. Love your future self. I closed the journal and set it on the nightstand. Then I opened the curtains so I could see the stars over the ocean, and I went to sleep with a smile on my face. Because tomorrow, I was going to wake up in a new port, in a new country, with a new day full of possibilities. And the day after that, and the day after that, and the day after that, for the rest of my life. And Derek would wake up in a cell, and then, eventually, in a cheap apartment somewhere, buried under debt, haunted by what he'd lost. His story was a tragedy. Mine was a triumph. And the moral of the story? Greed is a bottomless pit that swallows the foolish first. But karma? Karma is patient. Karma is thorough. And karma always, always collects.